Okay, and welcome back. So the next thing we want to talk about is we want to talk about the course schedule. And this is going to be new for a lot of you, and it's specific to the fact that this is an online class. So I want to make sure that everyone's very clear and understands this. And it's not that difficult. So it turns out that in this class, we're going to break the material into modules. And for our purposes, each module, except the very first one, module 0, which is just an introduction to the class, each module is going to correspond to one chapter. So we have 9 chapters, so we're going to have 9 modules plus the introductory module. Getting to the modules is super easy. All you do is navigate to our Canvas course homepage, and in the left-hand side menu, click on modules. And let me show you that really quick. So I'm going to go back to our home page here. Okay. And I'm just going to click here on modules. And there we are. And so you can see this first week, we just have two things we have to do. And actually, if you can get this done as soon as possible, maybe even before class starts, that would be ideal. There's actually very little to do. This is just a little blurb I'll show you that just tells you essentially what is in the class. So there's really nothing you have to do here. You can read this in 3 minutes. One of the nice things about the module structure is you can figure out the next thing to do by clicking, surprise, next. And so what I want you to do in this part of the module is you're going to engage in a discussion. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to read this and answer the questions. You're gonna make a response, then you're going to respond to another classmate. I'll be honest, I am not a huge fan of discussion boards, but I think I've thought enough about it that I can make it meaningful and it will be good, okay? And we actually have one response already. Cruz responded. Cruz, I'm going to apologize. Your response will not be relevant to this post because the person who originally set this shell up set the due dates, and I wasn't aware of that. They didn't tell me. So when I copied it over, you saw it as an assignment. You were super ambitious and proactive, and you got it done before I had a chance to change it. So you did a great job of staying on top of the assignments. But you're going to notice there's a mismatch between the questions you're answering and the ones that I put up. But that's perfectly fine, not a big deal. And you wrote a really nice a discussion post. So some of you may want to read what he wrote, and that kind of gives you an idea. It was very substantive. There was a lot of material there. It was meaningful. Sometimes I'm going to use the word with intent. And what I mean is I want you to actually make an effort. Don't post what is totally unacceptable for a discussion post is yes or no. I want a substantive reply and not just piggybacking on what someone says or reiterating or agreeing with someone. So you did an excellent job. Okay, so to go back, and this first introductory module is different than the other modules. So what will you do normally? It turns out that we have the same structure for the modules in each chapter. You're going to watch an introductory video, so you're going to read a little introduction and then watch an introductory video. And that video is going to introduce you to some of the concepts that we're going to talk about. One of the things that I want you to appreciate in this class is that very often with statistics, there are gray areas. Statistics is not mathematics. And one of the ways in which it's not mathematics is we often do not get the right answer, or the right answer doesn't necessarily exist. And we're going to go into that a lot more. So these introductory videos are meant to stimulate thought. You may be confused, which is perfectly fine, because that's an indication that there's something you don't understand, and we're going to address that in the material and later on. Okay, after you get done watching the introductory video, so you don't have to do anything, just watch the video, think about it. You're going to do the assigned readings from the text. That's nothing more than you would normally do. I will tell you which portions of the text to read. I will tell you what to pay attention to and what to skip. We're not going to cover everything in all of these 9 chapters. I'm going to focus on certain things that are important. Then after you digested the readings, I'm going to post what I call a summary video. In other words, this would be equivalent to our regular class lectures. I'm going to take all that material in the text, boil it down to a PowerPoint video. Embedded in that video are going to be quiz questions. And these are what I call reading quizzes. And this counts towards your attendance and participation grade. I actually call it participation and engagement grade because we don't have a formal attendance requirement. Okay, so you definitely want to watch that and then do the reading quizzes. This will give you an idea of how well you understand the material. It will also give me an idea of how well you understand the material and what issues the class may be wrestling with. Once you get done with that, you're going to participate in the class discussion board. And I'm going to post usually a hypothetical scenario. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to ask you to respond to certain aspects of your classmates' responses. And again, if this is new to you, it's fine. It'll become pretty self-explanatory. The discussion boards are what I would call low-stake assignments, meaning that you should do them. You should take them seriously. There's a very good chance that what we talk about on the discussion boards will be in the final, a very high probability. However, the discussion boards are really intended for you to kind of explore the subject, to ask stupid questions, to kind of ask about things that you don't understand. And so I'm not going to grade them super critically. I'm going to look at whether or not you're making a real effort, whether you're doing it with intent, whether you're being thoughtful about it. But this is totally meant for you to practice your comprehension and have a discussion with your classmates so you can kind of interact and share thoughts and see what other people are thinking also. The only thing that I ask on the class discussion boards is that you are civil. One of the things about statistics that you always have to bear in mind is that in statistics, we very often deal with sensitive issues. So all of the things that your family fights about over the table at Thanksgiving, right? Things like race, religion, income, gender, political affiliation, these are all things that are directly in the domain of statistics. And so we always have to be careful about how we have discussions, that we're respectful of other people, that we ask questions to try to explore and understand where the other person's coming from, and things of this nature, okay? So on the discussion boards, I'm going to be very clear and very explicit that I will not tolerate any abusive talk, even any sarcasm, okay? I want you to be professional and respectful. And what might seem like a harmless, sarcastic comment to you might not come across that way, especially since the person who's reading your comments does not know you personally. There's a very high chance of that, right? So just be respectful, be professional, but also feel free to ask questions, okay? There's no topic that, again, within the bounds of what the university considers allowable, that is taboo. And so we're going to talk about things that are kind of sensitive to people. And you have to kind of bear that in mind, all right? Now, after you get done with the class discussion board, and this shouldn't really take you that long. I mean, I'm thinking that, for a discussion board activity, you're probably looking at roughly a little bit south of 15 minutes, somewhere in that vicinity, okay? Definitely no more than a half hour max, okay? I think 15 minutes is a decent average to shoot for. After that, we're going to have a problem-solving session. And so these problem-solving sessions are going to be held during the last day that you would normally meet for class. So let me show you. I'm trying to remember if I have. I think I have this up now. Let me check really quickly. Yeah, I do. Okay, so these are, if you're in section 1, for example, the synchronous Zoom meeting will be at 3:45 to 5 p.m. I will send an invitation out to everyone just because all of the sections are glommed together on this Canvas page. I would request that you come during the time that your class is scheduled. Okay, so if you're in section 1, please try to attend section 1. I know that will not be possible. I understand that people's schedules have gotten changed and all sorts of crazy things have happened. If you have to go to another section, that's perfectly fine, okay? But I would prefer that you go to the section to which you're assigned if it's possible. And what we're going to do is these are going to be live sessions. So you can see behind me, I have a whiteboard. I'm going to work problems. We'll go through homeworks. We'll review material, any sort of questions you might have had. You can feel free to try the homework. I think you get 2 attempts on each homework. Feel free to try the homework before we meet. You may have questions. You can bring them up then. I'm more than happy to discuss them, okay? One of the reasons why the Zoom meetings will be useful is I will not only do all of those things that I just discussed, but I will also talk about problems that will be in the homework which are tricky and the book doesn't necessarily cover in a lot of detail. So the book does have homework problems where it does not discuss the material for reasons that I don't understand. There are also questions that I think probably need a little more elaboration on in an intro stats class. So I'll give you a little extra background, that you might need and might be helpful on the homeworks too. Okay, so you have watched the video, you've done the readings, you've watched the class lecture, so to speak, and taking the reading quiz, done the class discussion board, you've engaged in the Zoom problem solving session. The last thing for you to do is the homework. And the homework is all through MyMathLab. So the university is requiring us to use Pearson to do this class and the assessments. And so when you click on the homework link here, and I could have just skipped through the modules, but you're going to see a page that opens up like this. Now, for the very first homework, I've given you pretty explicit instructions here. Normally, it will just say, go to assignments or go to my lab and mastering. So you can get to the homework either way. So if you click on assignments, you'll see that the homework for chapter 1 is already up, but you can't start it until class begins because you shouldn't be starting homework before we've covered the material, right? And you want to keep track of the due dates. That's really important. You can also get to it through My Lab and Mastering. So if you click here and you click on this orange icon, it will take you into My Lab and Mastering, and you can go ahead and work on it there. I'm not going to click on this because my view won't be the same as yours. Okay, so that's pretty much the schedule. Every single module, we're going to follow that same schedule. Okay, intro, readings, class summary, discussion, Zoom session, homework. And it seems like a lot, but honestly, it's really nothing more than you would do in a normal class. There really isn't anything extra, and it's nice and laid out and very uniform. So I hope that will make things easy and will be less confusing for you. Okay, thanks for watching. Next, I'm going to talk about resources that might be helpful for you during this class.